Welcome to a very special edition of Halloween with Grimpedia. This video will be featuring the Living Horror build. These two classes come straight from hell itself, the Terror Knight and Grim Dawn's Necro. This build is a terrifying, life-leeching nightmare, and really gives meaning to the saying a good offense is a good defense, as its primary defense revolves around massive amounts of attack damage converted to health. It's a melee build of vitality damage with weapon pull skills. If you are unfamiliar with Grimarillion, it is a custom game ran within Grim Dawn. It has 32 classes with new skills, new gear, new recipes, and more. One of my favorite aspects is the insane amount of hero mobs. On Ultimate, legendaries usually drop about every 5 minutes because of the increased mob density. If you really want more details on the mod itself, please check out the video linked in the description below. What is Grimarillion and how to install. We'll kick this off by jumping into an in-depth look at the gear. I have equipped the Shattered Realms set. This consists of the chest, head, shoulders, and amulet. Overall, each set piece provides a decent amount of OA and DA, resistances, and large amounts of health. The set completion bonus also provides additional health. You'll notice I have over 18,000 health. This gives me enough cushion to absorb damage while constantly refilling my health bar with attack damage converted to health. Next, it provides resist the crowd control, which is always helpful, especially since I'll be relying on my attacks to heal me. If I'm stun locked, I really can't do that. The set completion bonus also provides +2 to all skills. This is advantageous because there is no gear yet for the Zenith Masteries. To be honest though, the mod developers have done a really nice job balancing the Zenith classes to compensate for the lack of gear. A 50% health, the set also grants 20% damage absorption, with total damage modified by 24%. In normal combat, it's fairly unlikely my health will ever get that low, but it's a nice circuit breaker for super bosses. The two-handed weapon I'm using is a mythical Wild Blood Crusher. I'm using it mostly for its high DPS, bonuses to vitality damage, and attack speed. I had a much better weapon called the Blood Tide Blade, but it was recently converted from a two-handed weapon to a one-handed weapon, and totally throws off my build. I'm using the Haunt Relic for its granted skill. Haunt reduces vitality resistance by 15% and life leech resistance by 8%. Will of Retouche Devotion proc is bound to Haunt. It has a 15% chance on attack and reduces vitality resistance by 24% and life leech resistance by 8%, giving me a total of 39 vitality resist reduction and 16 life leech resist reduction on the skill. The medal is Mark of Divinity. I'm mostly wearing it for the resistances. It triggers Divine Light at 30% health and restores 15% health with 100% damage absorption for 3 seconds. This is the kind of circuit breaker that is very useful in a super boss fight. Also note, I am using Rune of Vampiric Shadows on my medal. It's an augment that grants a charge-like attack with 500% run speed, 300% main hand damage, and 25% attack damage converted to health. This works so much better than the charge in the Terror Knight skill tree and costs 0 skill points. The rest of the equipment will be geared towards the Necromancer skills. For rings, I'm wearing Void Heart and Signets of the Fallen. Both rings give bonuses to vitality damage and a little bit of OA. Also, Signet of the Fallen gives the granted skill Mark of the Fallen with a 20% chance on critical attack to reduce vitality resistance by 15%. And Void Heart grants Curse of the Void with 33% chance on critical attack to reduce vitality resistance by another 10%. The belt is Soulbinder's Chains. Its vitality bonuses, high OA, +2 to Reaping Strike, and +2 to Siphon Souls are all helpful advantages in this build. Bone Shedder Threads are excellent boots for this build. More vitality, OA, and +2 to Reaping Strike again. It also grants a 25% chance when hit to strike enemies with vitality damage and reduce enemy DA by 70. Vulgar's touch or gloves with more vitality bonuses, more OA, +2 to Spectral Wrath, which is one of our resist reduction skills, and 10% chance on attack to grant Life Drink. This skill acts like Chain Lightning, but with vitality damage and 20% attack damage converted to health. Boneweave leggings also have more vitality bonuses and high armor, with 33% chance to proc Sigil of Consumption when hit. The proc skill does vitality damage with 40% of it converted to health. Moving into skills, I want to quickly cover the passives and buffs. Soldier of Madness increases OA and DA by 80, increases armor rating by 18%, and grants 36% pierce and elemental resist. Also, once soft cap, it grants +1 to all skills. Bound to this is Ghoulish Hunger. I've covered this plenty of times in other videos, but basically it's a circuit breaker that activates at 45% health, increases attack speed, physical resistance, and provides 80% attack damage converted to health. Suit Up grants flat vitality damage, 22% attack damage converted to health with minor speed loss, and 220% damage reflected at enemies. The damage reflected at enemies isn't that significant. Hand Armor increases speed by 17%, net gain of 10 after Suit Up. Leg Armor offers resistances to crowd control effects and a bit of movement speed. Torso Armor is resistances to damage over time durations, and Head Armor offers 9% OA, DA, and 22% to dodge. Harbinger Souls is an exclusive buff that grants flat and percentage vitality damage, 10% attack damage converted to health, 15% physical damage converted to vitality, and 12% speed. All very useful in this melee build. The Horror build's primary attack is Banish. This acts as your default weapon attack and procs weapon pull skills. This spammable hack and slash does 160% main hand damage, physical and vitality damage, and 100% chance to grant 9% damage absorption when used. It also increases OA by 186 and total speed by 15%. In addition, it has a 10% chance to proc a crowd control effect on enemies such as Stun, Terrify, and Petrify. This skill also converts 25% of its physical damage to vitality damage and reduces all resistances by 37%. Bound to Banish is Twin Fangs for additional attack damage converted to health. This proc passes through enemies and converts 45% of the proc's damage to health with a half-second cooldown. Moving on to the many weapon pull skills, we'll first look at Gore. Gore requires a melee weapon and has a 24% chance to proc with our default attack. It does 240% main hand damage, vitality damage over time, and reduces enemy maximum health by 15%. It also has a 75% chance to Terrify. Lust for Carnage is a weapon pull skill that requires a two-handed weapon, staff, or two-handed range. It also has a 24% chance to proc. This skill has a 270-degree arc and inflicts main hand damage to enemies within a small radius. This skill has a built-in celestial power, like a devotion proc. It grants 10% damage absorption, 10% speed bonus, and modifies total damage by 22%. It also restores a small amount of health and energy. Carnivorous Slaughter is the cock and bull of weapon pull skills. It requires a two-handed weapon and has a 30% chance to proc. It does 600% main hand damage with 145% attack damage converted to health. This also reduces enemy DA by 265. I dumped as many points as I could in this. Reaping Strike is a weapon pull skill of the Necromancer. With 24% chance to proc, it does 130% main hand damage, vitality damage, and 32% attack damage converted to health. Necrotic Edge is our last weapon pull skill that procs from our default weapon attacks It's another AoE melee swing with 22% chance to attack. It's 180 degrees of main hand and vitality damage. It also has 69% chance to confuse enemies. With these 5 weapon pull skills, it comes out to 124% chance to proc on default weapon attacks. That means every swing of Banish is going to have one of these procs added to its damage. And with all the attack damage converted to health, it makes our defense that much stronger. Siphon Souls is another AoE attack. It uses to spread additional attack damage converted to health, reduce health regeneration on bosses by 52%, and reduce enemy OA by 170. I have Wendigo Devotion tied to Siphon Souls. It's 15% chance on attack, with 65% of the proc's damage converted to health. As you can see, almost every attack siphons health points. I picked Spectral Binding so I can maximize Spectral Wrath for its resist reduction. Mine currently reduces resistances to Vitality by 38 and Physical by 30. Tip the Scales is bound to Spectral Binding. It does Vitality damage with 126 attack damage converted to health. I have 1 point in Mark of Torment. I would have more, but this is a single target effect that I use on bosses. 40% damage absorption from the target and reflects 233% of it back at the attacker for 4 seconds. Blood Siphon is 258 life leech per second with a 10-meter radius. Thirst reduces the cooldown by 4 seconds and increases life leech by 108%. I have Dryad's Blessing bound to this. It has a 100% chance to proc with a 3-second cooldown. It restores health and reduces poison and bleed duration. So every activation of Blood Siphon heals me instantly. Evocation of Terror is the detonation button of this build. It's an 18-meter radius AoE, and it inflicts 246% main hand damage, massive amounts of physical fire vitality damage, and modifies all damage by 173%. It also terrifies targets for 7 seconds. This is great for increasing damage in huge boss battles and results in more defense by way of attack damage converted to health. Unfortunately, this has a 45-second cooldown. As far as devotions go, if you are interested in every constellation I've chosen, there is a Grim Tools link in the description below for devotions only. Combat is simply hack and slash and activation of your debuffs on cooldown. It's a bit anticlimactic at times and damage can be a slow burn, but it will get the job done. Terror Knight is a great class if you're just starting out in Grimarillion. The insane amounts of fear and attack damage converted to health are going to be worth your time in endgame. This build was very difficult to level though. It really lacks AoE. In the beginning trials I went through constant respecs. I would recommend starting out with the Terror Knight and maxing Banish, all of its modifiers, and Spectral Wrath before picking up any weapon pull skills. My next build video will probably be a Soiled Trousers build. It's pretty much done. I just need to script, record, and edit the video. I'm having a lot of fun making these, so if you like the content, please like and subscribe. If you want to support the mod, I know Asylum accepts donations for his work. Link for that in the description. If you want to support my videos, Patreon in the description as well. Share Grimarillion with your friends, join our Discord community, and stay excellent.